Hello and welcome to the first look battle footage by me on Total War Warhammer 3.
Warriors of Kislev! We have traveled far and fought hard, but at last we have arrived in Khorne's bloody realm. Before us stands the brass citadel, where the blood god's gatekeeper stands guard. We must call out the fiend and slay him! He rallies his demons for a last, desperate defense! Vanquish them with ice and steel! This is the ruined fort, defended by Khorne's lesser thralls. Wipe them out and capture the icon of ruin! This will give me a foothold and grant us supplies to reinforce for the struggle ahead!
Alright, so this is post-commentary, so I'm going to take this relatively slowly. So I was invited to an event by Creative Assembly to play some Warhammer 3 gameplay, and that was this game right here. I played this battle a couple of times. I ended up playing it, I believe, a total of 3 times. There was a crash though, so it may have been 3.5 basically. But essentially, I played this battle a couple times. This was my final attempt, which went the best overall. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about this a little bit slowly. I want to go over everything. Basically, normally I would have been invited to an event to play somewhere, probably in the UK or something, perhaps in London, like I was at the 3K event. But that didn't happen this time because of COVID. So essentially, we were sent. We weren't sent a copy of the game. The way this worked is we actually were playing this via an online server. So the game was hosted on a different computer, and then we were playing it from ours through internet connection. So this meant that the footage that you're seeing was actually recorded on the local system, so the footage looks fine. However, there were slight hiccups of connection. Overall, it was totally fine. But a couple times throughout my experience, including this battle as well, you'll see it in a minute. I'll cut it out for the most part, but I'll probably show you the first time. A couple times during this, basically my screen would just freeze for about up to 10 seconds. Sometimes it was longer than that. And during that 10 seconds, the game just continued. On the system it was being recorded on, it was working completely fine. But on my system, it was frozen. So I couldn't do... Basically, my camera, you'll see it happen, my camera just moves off in a straight line away from the action while the action's going on, and I can't do anything about it. So that happened a couple times. Just wanted to put that out as a word of warning. But anyway, on to the actual gameplay, I guess. So as you can see, I'm not gonna pause the video or anything. I'm just gonna talk about stuff as it's happening. That also means I will not be showing everything specifically because I don't actually, I'm not controlling the camera right now. But basically what this is a wave survival type battle, which is new to Warhammer 3. As far as I'm aware, I probably should be quiet during her things, but she's telling us to put up defenses and stuff.
We can barricade these bottlenecks.
Barricade bottlenecks, whatever. Anyway, the point being, it's a wave survival battle. There's only a couple of these during the entire campaign, and they only happen, from what I understand, when you take out one of the 4 Chaos Gods. So I think this was the one for Khorne, I believe. He's the Blood God, right? I don't know enough about lore to make any valid. I actually take quite a while deciding which tower to go for here, even though again this was my 3rd or 4th run through, but this actually gives me a second to catch up anyway. So you can see at the top of the screen there's a couple things going on. You can see obviously we were playing as Kislev, so our flag or emblem, and then the time next to that, and then after that you see 3 different symbols and then another symbol and a bunch of numbers behind that. So the 3 different symbols are the 3 capture points you see on the minimap on the top right. So every time you have a capture point, you gain a bonus. If you don't have that capture point yet, you get a deficit, so the enemy gets a bonus against you, basically. I can't tell you what they are right now because I didn't write it down. This is, again, I'm not the Warhammer guy. I'm doing this because I enjoyed... I'll get into that as well, but I really enjoyed this. This actually made me kind of more excited about playing Warhammer again, and I might give it another chance, but playing it on lower difficulties, because Legendary just doesn't do it for me on Warhammer. But let's get into that later. Anyway, so... that's sort of 3 symbols up there, and then you also have the symbol next to that with a number, and that number is your supplies. And in these types of battles, you come up with a small army, as you saw in this. We only had, 10 different units, including our general. And then, as you do certain things, killing enemies or controlling the capture points, etc., you gain more supply points. And with the supply points, you can get reinforcements, or you can build those towers that you saw me build, or build the towers that are currently doing a bunch of damage. So that's what this is, and then you'll get more reinforcements over time as you get more supply points and things like that. Then after that, you also see something else on the board now, which is basically the capture point. So currently, we need to bring it down to 0%, and once it's at 0%, we own this capture point, and we can move on to the next capture point, and then a new wave will spawn from that second capture point, which will come towards us. But again, you'll see that in a minute. Now, so yeah, let's get into what I like my experience before I talk about all the specific gameplay things that are happening. So I genuinely really enjoyed this. I know apparently now it's this thing after Volant made that video that apparently I only do this because otherwise CA will kick me out of the partner program. It's complete bullshit, fabrication, lies, whatever. I'm not going to go into that right now. The point is, I play this because I'm invited to play a new fucking Total War game. Of course I'm going to play it, and of course I'm hyped for it, even though Warhammer has never really been my thing. I genuinely enjoyed this event. I would have loved to have done it on an actual event, like being at a place, just so that you know, connection, etc. wouldn't have been an issue. But other than that, I really enjoyed this. This is obviously probably on normal difficulty or something, and I genuinely had a really fun time, which is why I played it multiple times, because I went into it planning on playing it once, maybe twice, but I ended up playing it like 4 times. I could have played it even more, actually, but I had stuff to do on the same day. Anyway. So, what I'm thinking currently is because I enjoyed this as much as I did, I probably... Well, I mean, I was always going to do Let's Plays on Warhammer. I just wasn't really planning on doing many of them. Oh, I love this spell, by the way. This, like, cone. I love the cone spells on Warhammer, always. But yeah, I wasn't planning on doing a ton of them, but I was planning on playing it, or at least covering it, with a couple of campaigns. But what I think I'm now more excited for it, but what I'm going to do is not play it on... Legendary anymore. I'm probably just going to go down to all the way down to Hard, probably, because that actually just seems a lot more fun to me. And sure, less people will be interested in watching my gameplay, but I'm okay with that. As long as I'm enjoying it, that's more important than, you know, not enjoying it and just not playing it, essentially. Also, Kislev seemed really fun as a faction overall. That infantry unit we have is just really solid, and you'll see lots of different types of units over this gameplay footage as well. I will say I'm allowed to upload 90 minutes of gameplay over 4 different videos. I'm not going to do that. I will upload this video, and then maybe if you guys really want to see another one of my attempts, I'll upload another one attempt, but I'm not planning on making really edited videos of, you know, combining different things. I didn't do any zooming in, because, you know, that's not me. I never do that in any Total War gameplay. I just don't zoom in. I don't care about the graphics down there. I just care about the actual gameplay. So yeah, you won't see that on my videos. If you want to see, like, specific, if someone going over unit statistics and stuff, I'm sure there's people doing that as well, but that you just won't find that here. But I know all of you guys will already know that. Anyway, yeah, so, what you'll also see me do during this is spending those supply points on other things, like buffing up units. So you can already see on some of my infantry units, I think they're called the Khan's Guard, or something Guard, I've already upgraded their armor, and so one of them I've upgraded their weapon as well. So this is something, again, unique to this type of battle, where if you have those supplies, you can spend them on your units to increase their armor, increase their weapon, increase their magic resistance, things like that. Or actually, it's range resistance. So, I can't remember. Anyway, so yeah, you can spend it on that as well, and I did a lot of that, because they're Tsar Guard, that's what their name is. I really found the idea of having these really buffed up units appealing. You can see me doing it right there. I upgrade one to the light armor. So there's 3 tiers for the weapon, the armor, and then the range protection, whatever it is. The Winds of Magic were also infinite during this battle, so you could see me casting magic fairly frequently. I'm pretty sure in the end I just go all out at the end of the battle with just the remaining Winds of Power that I have remaining, just because, you know, why not? They are infinite and they will keep increasing. You can actually use your... you can see me there, I used my supplies to increase the ammunition of one of my archer units. Those archers are fucking baller, by the way. I love them as well on this. Although, to be fair, there was a lot of chaff in this, basically in the enemies right now, all their stuff is really crap, so they all die super quickly to arrows. Later on, they'll have more armor stuff. Basically, the further you get into the level, the more difficult enemies you'll come up against. Anyway, so you can see me constantly doing like gaining more HP, so replenishing my unit, they replenish their health, even replenish their men as well. So if someone has died, they can't come back from the replenishment. It costs, well, it depends on how big the unit is. Oh, here, this is one of the times where my game froze, whereas the recording kept going. So I'll leave this one in, just so you can kind of see what I mean. The camera, basically I pressed W forward and then it froze, so then the camera just infinitely went forwards. You can see a nice bit of the map at least, which is nice. But I'll leave this one in, there you go, now I've gained control back and I'm like, what the fuck, where am I? So I have to move all the way back to where the action is actually happening. It happens sometimes during way more awkward times as well. It wasn't as bad in this third attempt, thankfully, or this last attempt, maybe in the fourth, I can't remember. I have the footage for all of them, I could have just checked how many times I did this. But anyway, yeah, so I was lucky this battle was lucky not to have it in too many awkward positions, but still, it's just annoying, like, you're sitting there behind your computer, just, like, thinking, please, give me back control, I want to fucking do my shit. Anyway, so now we've captured this point fully, you can see the flames disappear, and we can now move on to the second capture point. The Icon of Blood. So you can see there's already a couple of units. Most of that frontline stuff is chaff, and then the stuff in the back is slightly higher tier units, some Chaos Warriors or whatever. So yeah, now basically those units that are there are going to be coming towards us, and then once we've killed them, we move over towards the Icon of Blood, capture it, and then we have to defend that from a massive wave of enemies. However, while we do that, the first, well, you can see it right now on the minimap, there's a couple of enemies still. The first point is going to be constantly attacked. So during our offense, basically, while we move forwards onto the next point, we're going to have to leave some units behind to defend the last point as well, because if we don't, then we're just going to get attacked from even more sides. And they, of course, we get the debuff for the enemy taking back this point, so we really don't want to have that happen. Right, so there I got some reinforcements, some archers. These guys are... I love those archers. They were basically the same as the Kossars, except they also have a spear, so they're better against large units, I guess. So you can see the stats here, I guess. I hover over them for a while. Probably not for you specifically, I was just doing it for myself. But yeah, I really like them. There you can see me replenishing the ammo a little bit again of both those units as well. It's so good because it means your archers are just actually useful in these really, really long wave battles. Because obviously if they didn't have their ammo come back, it'd be kind of useless. But yeah, so I recruit 2 of those because they're actually... I can't remember actually, I think I may have left them behind. I recorded this was like 2 weeks ago or something. I think it was the end of April that we got to do this, so it has been a little while. Actually, it was the 28th of April. It doesn't matter when the fuck it was. It was about 2 weeks ago or something. Hence my, not remembering everything to the point. Anyway, so yeah. That's what we can do. We can recruit some new units, and then we can also, of course, spend it on all the other stuff we've spending on. And now we need to leave some units behind. So the Cav, I kind of just use them for now, so I can focus all my normal infantry. I focus on the stuff that's coming at us, and the cavalry will just break up the kills behind us and keep killing this shit that keeps spawning behind us. But of course, we also have those towers there as well, which is why I placed quite a few of them in the first area and more of them than anywhere else, simply because I know that that's the area that you need to defend. Like, once you've taken the second point and you move on to the third point, there are no more spawns that happen at the second point. You don't have to then leave the units behind on the second point as well. It's only the first point, or of course if the first point were to fall, then you would need to defend the second point, but we obviously try and have that not happen. Anyway, so yeah, I have the cavalry running behind, killing all the shit, and then once we've dealt with the units that are coming towards us from the second point, we essentially keep a couple of actual infantry units behind. I think I leave 2 Tsar's Guard and then 1 archer or something like that behind. I think I actually am quite indecisive about it in this one. You'll see me running a couple units back and forth, because I wasn't quite sure. I like my symmetry, as you guys are well aware, and I think I ended up not going symmetrical, and that screwed me, so then I decided to change it and go symmetrical, and then yada yada. Point being, in the end we got it. So yeah, you can also see me not really building the barricades. I think I do actually build quite a few of them at the end. So yeah, there you go. That's where I'm setting up my Tsar Guard. And then I think I keep an archer, but I'll switch that on up once or twice. Anyway, so yeah, we got those barricades as well. Now the barricades, they are depending on what you. There's several options similar to the towers. The towers again, they have different expenses to them. Like some of them more expensive than others, but then they do different things. Like one of them shoots magic balls that does AOE damage. One of them just shoots regular arrows, etc. I get a mix of them because I found that to be the best way of going about it. Just having a couple shoot regular arrows and then a couple doing these big old AOEs. Like you can see them going right there. Those big, like lightning bolts, basically. Anyway. So, oh god, so much talking. I was worried that this was going to happen, but I have, it's a 40-minute video basically, but I want to talk for the whole 40 minutes essentially. Anyway, you can also see I've upgraded my archers as well, given the extra range damage, which again, it's only like a small percentage, so it's actually not even a huge amount of damage that you get from it, but it still adds up. And like I said, the archers actually were quite baller in this whole run. I really, really liked the archers. In general, like I think I may have mentioned, I quite liked the Kislev faction quite a bit. I still don't know who I'm going to play for my first campaign. I kind of want to see Kathai, because, you know, they're like free kingdoms, aren't they? Or, you know, Chinese culture anyway. So that will obviously be interesting to me. I really hope that they come and bring in Nippon at some point. There you go. See, I'm switching units around. I think. I wasn't entirely sure what to do with the archers, but I ended up going with that one, and then I only have one spear guy. So I lost my symmetry, but I had a reason for it. I just don't remember what it was. But there you go. Anyway, so our cavalry is arriving at the second point. I should also mention that there was no real rush to do things in this. Now, you can see my supply points currently aren't really going up. They do go up when I kill things. When towers kill things, they don't go up, but they do go up when I personally kill shit. So most of the enemies at the first level or the first, like, capture point were dying before I even actually got to do much against them, but I do get some supply points every once in a while. But there is basically no real rush to do it. To do anything, well, because as long as the towers just mop up everything behind you on the first level, you're not losing any real men, you're not really, you know, you can take your time, you don't have to feel super rushed. Maybe on legendary difficulty it would be more rushy, but still. You also got to keep in mind that this kind of event, we were, like, all of the YouTubers got to play this, but a lot of people who are, you know, IGN or whatever, like, just regular game websites get to play this shit as well, and they're not like veteran Total War players, so they're not as experienced. Right, so here you can see, now that I've taken the second point, we actually have a lot more options in the types of units that we can recruit. So I recruit a couple more Sargard, because I really, really like that unit. They're just really solid, 90 armor with the silver shield, which I think, what was it, like 50% range block chance or 30? I haven't looked at it since I played Warhammer 2 like 2 years ago, it's been a while. And then I spend the rest of my money on some towers as well, because the towers are super, super important. Now you can see that we've taken the second point, we no longer have the debuff, and the second wave of enemy spawns. Now, this one only goes until we have 100% of that bar down to 0. So once it goes down to 0, which I'm pretty sure is not time-based, but it's based on killing all the units essentially, so we've killed 1% of the units right now with the towers. Once that goes down to 0%, there's no more spawns in this area, and then we just move on to the third tier, or the third capture point. Once you get to the third capture point, it's the same thing again, but then that one ends with, like, after you've captured it all together, like, the thing goes down to 0%, at that point, you have to then kill, basically, the big bad boss. And then from that point onwards, you win. So, there you go. Anyway, so yeah, I recruited 2 more Sargard because I wanted to have 2 on both flanks. Again, this was my third playthrough, so I kind of knew what the enemy was going to be doing. So I knew I needed to protect both flanks quite well, because this is where you actually start facing some decent units. Again, that unit you see on the screen right there is still that crappy, like, two-handed guy. I think they've got an excellent charge or something, but other than that, they're pretty naff. They die really quickly to arrow fire. But there was going to be some higher tier stuff. You saw some cavalry running in as well, and there's going to be more cav coming as well. And it's all going to start becoming more heavily armored. There's some more cav right there. They are... Oh, man, what are they? They don't look like... I should have... See, sometimes I should zoom in, or at least pay better attention to what shit is. On my first battle, I did pause a lot more and actually had a look at all the units, because, again, that was my first time around. But since this was the third battle, I didn't really choose to look around too much. I need to have a drink, because my throat is dying from the constant chatter. Now, I could have paused it, but I didn't. So there you go. My videos are not very professional, at least not these. I just don't care enough to make it professional. I just want to show you guys some gameplay. Anyway, so yeah, got lots of magic as well. Right, so let me see if I remember these all from the top of my head. So the one I just placed just now just slows the enemies down, I think by 45% or something. And I think it reduced their charge bonus by 45% as well. But that wasn't as important. It was just slowing them down so my archers could do more damage. One of them has actually run out of ammo. I wonder if I notice soon to replenish its ammo, because currently it's doing nothing. I think I do. Yeah, you slow them down. Then there's another spell that's basically... Oh, there you go. My game froze again. Although that time... See, that's why I paused it. Because I was like, shit, what happened? Because my game froze, but at least my camera wasn't moving away. But yeah, I paused it in the end because I wasn't entirely sure what was happening. So I catch up a little bit on what the hell I was supposed to be doing. Because obviously during the time I couldn't control my shit. Blood Crushers of Khorne, that's what they are. I obviously gained a lot of supplies. So yeah, now I guess I'm trying to catch up to... you know, my not being frozen anymore. Anyway, so yeah, there's 6 spells that she can do. She also has a special ability on the left you can see, like the one you can use twice. I used that one, I believe, at the end of the battle, because it's actually a super powerful ability. So I knew how difficult the last phase was going to be, so I didn't want to waste it. Right, so now I'm casting, I believe it's called Heart of Winter, which I believe also, if I remember from the top of my head, I might be wrong, it also slows down units. And it's basically like a stationary vortex that just deals damage over time to all the units within it. I think that's what it is. Then, of course, there's the cone attack that we saw earlier, which is actually super, super good as well. You can buff that one to do more armor-piercing damage. There you go, I've replenished the ammo now of my units. Good man. Yeah, so there's the cone. And then there's a couple more, which I don't think I actually really even used all that much. Right, so I think I get some Streltsy, which are gun units who also have a great axe. So I think the weapon is, I think you may have seen in the trailer. The trailer got leaked by CA themselves, the fools, today. That was yesterday if you're seeing this on the day of release. Oh yeah, I think I buffed that one to tier 2, I'm not sure. So yeah, overcasting it. Anyway, so yeah, they leaked the trailer, and I think the Strelsky were actually a unit they showed in the trailer, I can't remember. Either way, they have a gun that acts as a two-handed great axe as well. Right, so here you can see what's happening at the back. I think I noticed my archers were taking a bit of a beating, and I realized there's some cavalry that somewhat broke through here. But we deal with this fairly easily. We just give the guys some replenishment, give them extra ammo. Like, again, this is normal difficulty, so it's not really something to worry about too much. But it is not super easy. My second attempt, I actually almost failed. My first one I did completely fine. The second one I almost failed. Anyway, so this thing is down to 5%. You can see one of the units around the number goes down pretty quickly. I had some calves standing around there I completely forgot about, even though I set him up in a perfect flanking position. Planking position, just on the floor, planking. God, horrible humor. Anyway, my army's still pretty decently healthy. One of the things I spammed the most during my runs was, so there you can see it cleaned up quite nicely in the back. One of the things I spammed the most was the replenishment thing. It just seemed super OP to me because there was a maximum. Like if it reached a certain like health, it couldn't get past it, even though it did replenish men as well, which is kind of weird. Sorry, my throat is really dying. But yeah, so I spam that one as much as often, or as much as possible, and as often as possible. Anyway, so yeah, I think I might get I think I get some Ice Guard with Glaive soon. I might be, oh no, some more Strelsky. I think I get them later on then. But yeah, the gun units, they are not, I mean, they're good, obviously they're good armor-piercing damage as well. They're not super good right now. It's just difficult to use them as well because it's hard to set them up. But in the late, like at the last phase, basically, we have some really, really strong enemies, including like a final demon who even has like a level attached to him, like he's level 10 or something, if I remember correctly. And basically, it's not him. That's like later on. You see a big flying fucker right now, but there's something way stronger than that even. This thing is gonna... Actually, this thing I think gets completely fucking ruined by my guns in a minute. But yeah, they're really good against that, so they single target like those high tier enemies down pretty quickly. Although that level 10 final boss guy he does not go down quickly, but we'll get to that when we get to that. That's like 15 minutes from now. But you can see that the thing flying in. I'm pretty sure it's gonna get absolutely fucking blown up by guns, but we'll have a look at that in a second. I think I almost miss it as well. Like, I'm setting up my units and shit, and in the meantime, that guy just gets blown out of the sky. I think. I can't quite remember. Again, it has been a little bit. It's actually about to attack my cavalry, who I then try to send away. Away with you, vile cavalry! Oh, well, it's dying. I just don't know if it's dying to my guns. I don't think it is. I don't think my guns have shot one shit, actually. But it's just, you know, let me live in my in my world while my guns actually did something. But anyway, so the point of them is that they are guns who then... Okay, now they're shooting. They can turn into Great Axe Infantry. They don't have a shield though, so they do still die pretty quickly. I basically try to rely on my Tsar Guard as much as possible for my actual line infantry, just because they actually have a shield, they're tanky, they have high armor, etc. Whereas the Streltsky, while they can fight in melee, I'd really rather they didn't, because they just die much quicker than anything else does. Anyway, so yeah, of course the last wave, or the wave of that was on the final point, comes towards us, and once we deal with that, we're going to send our army over towards the final point, and once we capture that, we have to deal with another wave of enemies, and then of course after that it's the big bad wave, and that's the big one, the scary one. And of course, while I get better units, so does the AI, so they are getting, in a minute, they're going to be getting hell cannons or whatever, like really strong artillery, and things like that, so we have to be careful. I don't think our guns did much against that guy, that may have been a different run, not that it matters. One of our cavalry is also way more wounded than the other one. I'm not sure what I've been doing with that one, but... You can see in the back as well, I've got those three units, the 74, 77, 77. The last three. There you go, I'll literally look at them right now. They're just holding. I noticed, this is what I tried in the first time I did this run. I used the same exact unit setup, except I used it... no, actually, it was the same exact, even with the same archer. And I don't even know if I upgraded them, and they held with no problem. Then when I did my second run, I actually tried to bring only the spear archer guys, and that just failed. Like, they got overrun after a while just because they weren't good enough in combat. Like, the spears were nice, but they weren't good enough. Which is why I went back to this 2 Tsar Guard and 1 archer. Honestly, you probably could do with 1 Tsar Guard, but I'm not trying to give you tips here. This is just me running through the fucking first look gameplay. So yeah, setting up my army. I think this is where I was talking about this earlier, and then I completely got thrown off. This is where I actually start using the barricades. Obviously, you'll see it once I've captured the point, which is halfway done now. So the barricades, I haven't talked about them yet. So there's different ones. I was going to talk about them, and then I interrupted myself with some other nonsense. So what they do, there's a couple defensive ones, and there's... okay, so there's a barricade that just straight up blocks movement. I've also paused the game for some reason. Well, here you can see the... Okay, well, I was going to say, you can see some objectives. I mean, if it takes too long, I'll just skip... I'll just edit it out, but it was alright. Anyway. Okay, we captured the final point. So yeah, there's a couple... There's one that just, like, straight up blocks enemy movement. They have to break through it. There's one that blocks enemy movement, and you can put archers on top of it. I think I actually end up building some right now, and I end up looking at them, because I hadn't actually really built many of them yet. So I have a better look at them right now. I think so in a minute anyway. I built some different towers first. Which one do I build? The piercing tower, right. So yeah, we have different prices attached to them as well, but again, I don't think that any of them are necessarily better than the... Like, well, I mean, some of them are better than the others, but I think all of them have a specific use. Some of them also slow the enemies, for example, which is really good as well. Anyway, right, so here's where I look at the barricades. They're a lot cheaper. So, this blocker just straight up blocks enemies, and then you get missile resistance when you're in range of it. The platform one is similar. It gives you... the enemy has to break through it, and you have extra range when you sit on top of it. The monument, which is a $400 one on the right, that one basically gives you a buff. And then the trap one, which is the one I end up going with, gives the enemies a debuff. So... It doesn't necessarily act as a barricade, but it just means that if you fight there, which is why I put a unit on that immediately, because it's a nice little choke point as well, the enemy will have a debuff while fighting near it, which is really, really useful. Because now we're going to start dealing with the highest tier units that the enemy has. The daemonic wave, as the objective has just told us. Whole lot against Khorne's daemons. So, we're going to be dealing with the toughest the enemy has to throw at us, except for, of course, the actual final wave, which is even tougher, which has the big bad boss in it. But now we get to recruit even better units, including that massive fuck-off ice bear that I'm sure was shown in the trailer as well. I saw the trailer myself, actually, before the event popped off. There you go, now you can see the guns. That's the one I was talking about. The guns absolutely massacring that one guy. Also the skull cannon getting completely murdered by our tower, so that worked out really well. But yeah, that thing, I missed. That's the one I almost missed as well. My archers and my guns just completely demolishing that flying guy. Anyway, yeah, so I recruit what is this little, I think it's called Little Grom, yeah, there it is. I don't actually remember if it did particularly well at the end. I do have a look at all the kills my units got at the end, so don't worry, I will show that off as well. But I mostly recruited it because I hadn't recruited it on any of my other runs up to that point, and I wanted to see what it would do. I don't really actually have a proper look at it, but now that I'm looking back at the gameplay, I can do so, which is good. But yeah, oh, there it shoots right there. It's just like a massive fuck-off cannonball, it looks like. So yeah, I recruited it mostly because I hadn't seen it yet, because I do recruit the bear in the end as well, but it doesn't do a ton. I also recruit some other stuff that I hadn't used yet, but most of it... Like, this run was smooth as fuck, I'm not gonna lie. My other 2 runs were way worse than this one, which is why I decided to show this one. How crazy, am I right? But again, if you want to see more, I can show you another one. It just won't be as smooth as this one, and I won't have as much to talk about, because right now I'm just trying to race through. Also, you're very welcome to pause the game when I'm looking at the spells and stuff. Oh, right, one of the spells was a direct damage thing. Basically, oh, what was that thing called back in the day? I remember there was a spell that was super overpowered that, like, Azag had. Either way, it's one of those direct damage ones. Alright, so there you can see some of the units. So I'm getting some ice glaives, because ice glaives, they're essentially well, they have glaives, makes sense, and they also have archery as well, so they can just... They're a hybrid unit, essentially, which is pretty useful. Just have them sit back and shoot, and then if anything comes into melee with them... It's kind of like the Strushlicks, or whatever the fuck they're called. The gun guys who have a great axe. But of course the... look at all the death over there. Of course the glaive guys, they have a bonus against large, just because they are glaives rather than great axes. So yeah, everything has its uses. I really like this. I just like this roster. I think I don't think I'm allowed to. No, yeah, let's not mention that. There's something about a roster, but let's not mention anything right now. Anyway. So yeah, I just like the roster in general. That's what I'll say. So you just got the Sargar just seem really strong frontline units. You've got like really the archers are quite basic. I think archers in Warhammer are always kind of good. I always liked archers in this game. All right, there's a bit of a weird cut there. The footage I was watching just crashed for some reason, but the video crashed, I suppose I should say. Anyway, so yeah, I was talking about the guns. I also just recruited the bear and another unit of glaive. Or ice guard, glaive, guard guys, those ladies. Anyway, so yeah, the guns I was talking about. So I was just talking about the roster. The guns that have a hybrid function, the glaive ladies or men, I think they're ladies, have I'm not allowed to say that now. It's 2021 now. Anyway, they have a hybrid function as well. The cavalry seem really fucking cool. They're like just hussars, basically. Oh, right, I used one of the features there, which is re-summoning, or basically you teleport your unit away from the battlefield. Once it's out of combat, you can do that. And then they will replenish in the background, and then you can actually pay, I think it's slightly reduced full price, to get your unit back with full health. So obviously mine was almost dead. So rather than actually just having it die, recruiting a new unit, I can keep its upgrades, keep its experience, etc. by recalling it and then paying for it again to just come back with all of its upgrades, which is pretty cool. It's a shame that it's not free, but I mean that would be kind of dumb actually if it was. So no, it's not a shame it's not free. That would be stupid. Anyway, so I think I changed over some of my barricades that I built. I think I actually accidentally had built the wrong one.
Khorne's gatekeeper shows himself at last! Warriors of Kislev, prepare for the fight of your lives!
It's the guy from the trailer! And also from one of my gameplay teaser video, by the way. Before we get to the final showdown of this epic battle, a quick word from our sponsor. No, I'm joking. This is not a sponsor. But if you want to do yourself and me a huge favor, and you're planning on buying Warhammer 3 anyway, please do so from 2Game. It is an official retailer for Sega games. If you buy it from the UK or Europe, you get a 17% discount. I don't think it counts for America, or the United States anyway, Canada, whatever. However, if you use the code SmartDonkey at checkout, you get an additional 10% off. So if you're from the UK or Europe, you get 17% and then another 10% on top of that with the code SmartDonkey. If you're from the US, you just get 10% in general. So it's still more than you would pay, or less than you would pay on Steam itself. And it's still a normal Steam key. You get the pre-order race pack as well, the same as you would normally get from buying it on Steam, except cheaper. And you help the channel out as well. If you don't want to buy from 2Game for whatever reason, or you can't, because of course there are some geo-restrictions, you might be able to buy it from Nexus instead. This is another official retailer. It's available apparently in the EU and rest of the world, which is US, so this might also not be available everywhere. You pay full price for this no matter where you're from, but it still helps me out anyway. You can see here, I get $6.36 if you buy it from here. However, from the 14th of May until the 20-something of May, I actually get 100% of the profit from games. So Nexus will be giving me their part of the profit. So I basically get double this, essentially, if you buy it from the 14th of May until the 20-something of May on Nexus. So if you want to help me out, buy it from either 2Game or Nexus. It's an official, legitimate Steam key that you'll get. Completely fine. No fucking G2A shenanigans where people steal credit cards, blah, blah, blah. It's legit. So anyway, thanks for that, and back to the video, I guess. Alright, so, oh, here you go. Here's another one of the times where, this is the perfect timing. Oh, I was so annoyed. I remember now. This is one of the times where my camera, or my game freezes, but, well, the game is fine, but it freezes on my end, because again, we're playing over a computer, or an internet connection, in case you hadn't listened to the first part. Yeah, so, right, I think I paused it here right away. Yeah, because right as the fucking final wave arrives, my fucking thing freezes, and I'm sitting there like, no, you gotta be fucking joking me. It didn't happen many times during this, and I was really grateful for that. But yeah, I'm completely out of position now. I have to quickly just pause it and move some units over towards the center to hold that, because I had no infantry holding that line. So you can see now that thing with the 10 above its head, that's like the gatekeeper. So that's the thing we have to... It's Khorne's champion. We have to murder him and then we win. Even if you don't murder the rest of the army, that's all you gotta do. Having said that, I'm pretty sure, because this thing has got stupendous amounts of HP, the only thing you end up killing the entire enemy army before he dies anyway, simply because he's so strong. But yeah, I've got the bear going up against him while also having all of my range units essentially firing at him too, just because the range units are great for targeting a single unit like that. There you go, I get my experience units back. I didn't have any upgrades on it, but I just wanted to get him back with its 5 chevrons as HP. It just lost 5 men immediately, I just realized. Another 5 right there. Yeah, obviously, sending it into that big bad guy wasn't the greatest idea, but I wanted to have him have some stuff besides the bear keeping him busy, so he didn't get into my range units, so that my range units could keep shooting at him. He's lost about 30 to 40% of his HP already. There's another one of those like flying things, several of them actually. There's one right there, there's one next to the gatekeeper as well. Which, again, normally my range units would have been really good at killing him, but I decided to put all my range units onto the big bad himself instead. But yeah, this is where shit kind of becomes a bit of a clusterfuck. As you can see, the overall health of my army is still doing absolutely great. I also used her like ability on the left at one point, but I actually don't remember when. So hopefully you guys caught it, because I certainly didn't during my my rewatch of this. Maybe I use it again in a minute. I'm not sure. Either way, yeah, so it becomes a bit of a massacre. Like on the left side, you can see there are lots of units attacking like only 1 or 2 of my units, and I was just sending a lot of stuff to fight the big bad. I probably should have rearranged my range units, because right now they're just in a big blob around him. Should have tried to pull them out and let the bear tank most of the damage. There, we use one more of those. I love the cone attacks, just generally in Warhammer. That was the only real... Oh, there you go. Now I'm using the other attack, so I'm probably going to watch this one too. I think it's a pretty decent ability. It's just like massive ice shards come out of the ground. There. Oh, I kind of look away as it happened, but you saw health bars dropping there. You saw them drop pretty hard just before I looked away. And a lot of these units actually had that thing like the vampire count units, where they just... Oh, I lost one of my best units right there. What a shame. Where they just evaporate once they break, which is really good, or once they're shattered, I guess, not broken. So they don't even run off the field; they just disappear into the ether. But yeah, overall, still looking good. I did lose a couple of my infantry units. I'm actually running kind of low on infantry, but the big bad guy is almost gone, and once he dies, it's basically game over. It's game over, man. I think we do actually have to kill everything. I'm not sure. Either way, everything basically dies when he dies. I have another look back at the first point. Looking completely fine, no worries there. Again, just keeping those 3 units there. You could probably do it less, but it worked out alright for me. Maybe less would be a little bit rough, or maybe you could use one of the what are they called again? The guard guys, and then a couple shitter units or something. But I think it was decent. Right, so now I use the direct damage on him right now. That was that spell. And then, oh right, that's the other spell, is a big buff. So I buffed my Elemental Bear, which is basically useless. The Elemental Bear ends up getting 0 kills, because all the damage he dealt was to this big fucking massive boss guy. Oh, I summoned this this random, like, character. He has some buffs as well, but the game even ends before he does anything. So there you go. I think we got another cutscene, and then we can look at the kills that we had at the end of all the units.
My brave Kislevites, we stand triumphant. But Khorne is not the only dark god with a realm in this accursed place. The battle is won, but the war goes on. Come. We must continue our search for what is lost.
So yeah, it was Khorne. How corny. Yeah, so there you go. Victory. So I'll have a quick look at all the kills I got as well, or at least I'll have you guys have a look at it. You can see the Ice Glaive ladies actually didn't do so hot. She got 1181 kills. The bear got 0 kills, but it did like 6,000. I think I have a look at it in a second as well, so you'll see. But yeah, that was that. If you guys want to see another run, I can upload another one with post commentary again. Yeah, it depends if you want to. If you do, I can. But it's just be the same thing, except probably slightly worse. But I think I use a couple different units. In my first run, I use a bunch of different cavalry units, which were pretty cool as well, so we can have a look at that. Just let me know. I'll be happy to upload another one of these. I'm allowed to do 3 more videos and up to like 50 more minutes, so... Anyway, that'll be that. Thank you guys so much for watching the first look of Warhammer 3. Until next time, have a good day, and goodbye.